get right into it. So for materials, we are going to be needing I'm using the 100% acrylic here in grey. I'll be using a 4mm crochet hook. We'll be needing a pair of scissors to cut our yarn, and then we'll be needing the measuring tape to take our measurements. The first measurements you're going to need is a chain that runs from this part of your collarbone to the other side of your collarbone. So this chain has to be in multiples of 3 plus 1. So if let's say your chain is 10 inches roughly, whatever chain you do to cover the 10 inches should be in multiples of 3, then plus 1. There should be 1 at the end. So I'm just going to show you real quick. The chain I need, the multiples of 3 I need is 30 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So I have my 30 chains, which is multiples of 3, and then I'm going to add 1 more to it to make 31. So this is the base chain we need, and then after that you're going to chain an extra 1, which is just our turning chain. Chain 1 and then double crochet in the second chain from the hook. Then after that you're going to double crochet all the way across to get to the end. Okay, so I've gone all the way around across with 1 double crochet each. For the next row, we're going to chain up our turning chain, which is 1, send your work and make 2 double crochets in the very first double crochet. So we are going to start increasing now by doing 2 double crochets in the first and the last stitches. So once you make your 2 double crochets in the first one, just continue with 1 double crochet as normal until you get to the last one. Now I've come to the very last double crochet and I'm going to go in there with 2 double crochets. So just like we did at the beginning, you're going to put 2 double crochets in the last one as well. something worth noting, the issue with using one chain as a turning chain is you might get confused when you get to the end and try putting a stitch in there. Try not to put a stitch in the one chain, just use your regular double crochets as usual. If it gets a bit confusing, just go back and count and make sure you have a consistent number of stitches. So for now, the next row we're going to do the same thing that we just did. Just chain one, turn your work, and put 2 double crochets in the first stitch. And then continue like that. So you're going to do 5 rows of these. We have 1, 2, we're on the third one now. So go ahead and make 5 of them in total, and I'll meet you and show you what to do next. Okay, so I went ahead and did 5 rows in total, just as we agreed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now from here we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to chain up 1 as usual, 10, and do 2 double crochets in the first stitch as usual. Once you have your two double crochets, you're going to chain up 1 and skip 1 stitch. Go into the next 2 stitches with 1 double crochet each. Chain 1, skip 1, and 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. Chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So you're going to continue like that all the way to the end. So just chain 1, skip 1, and make 2 double crochets, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. So I've come to the end here, and once you're at the end you should have 2 stitches left. So you're just going to chain 1 as usual, skip 1, and go into the very last one with 2 double crochets. Don't forget, in spite of this mesh pattern, we're still increasing, so make 2 double crochets in the very last one. Okay, so that's the first part done. Now we're going to go back to what we're doing before, no longer mesh but the regular double crochets. So chain 1, 10, and make 2 double crochets in the very first stitch. Then a double crochet in the next stitch. Now when you get to the spaces, you just go into them. You don't have to bother. If you want to, you can still go into the chains, as in like go into the actual chain, but I would just go into the space and make a double crochet. Go into the next stitch with the double crochet. So continue like that, just place regular double crochets in the double crochets, then double crochets in the spaces as usual. When you get to the end, you increase again. So you're going to repeat this. The pattern is this: you make 1 2 3 4 5 double crochets regular, then you make one mesh line, then you go back to making 5, then you make one mesh line. So we're going to repeat this till it hits our waist measurement. So from the middle parts of your collarbone to your waistline, you're going to repeat this till it hits there. So just for the sake of measurements, I'll give you a rough estimate of what you need. In case, if you're doing it for yourself and you can measure yourself, just go ahead and do it. But in case you're doing it for someone else, or you don't have the luxury to measure yourself, I'd say just for a size small, you can do 12 inches from this part of your collarbone to your navel. And then for a size medium, you can do around 13 inches. A large, you can do 14, and then extra large, maybe 15 inches. These are just rough estimates, and our bodies are different, it may vary. So if you can measure, then go ahead and use your measurement to do it. But I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to repeat what we have here: 5 mesh, 5 mesh, while increasing till I get to my waistline, and I'll get back to you and let you know what we're doing next. Okay, so I went ahead to make the rows that I need, and let's see how many rows I got here. 5 6 11 12 17 18 23. So I made 23 rows in total. That's 1 2 3 meshes in between, and I'm making it for a size medium, and I know for a fact that this goes from the middle part of my collarbone to the smallest part of my waist. But just so for clarity's sake, for the measurements I gave, so when I stretch it, it gets to 13 inches. So again, you don't have to work with the measurements I gave, because they could be, based on the yarn and the hook you're using, they could be inaccurate, or they wouldn't fit your body type perfectly. But then if you can take your own measurements, then just work with, when you stretch it from here, just make sure this part reaches your waistline. Okay, so for the next row, now we are going to join our work and start working around. But before that, take the measurement of what you have here at the bottom. So I'm going to stretch this as far as I can go, because crochet stretches a lot. And this here stretches for me to 26 inches. So I wouldn't be doing any more increases for my waistline. But then I'm going to show you what to do in case this measurement here doesn't reach your waistline. What you're going to do is make a chain. So after you have your measurements, let's say you also have 26, for example, and your waistline is 29 inches, all right? Make a chain. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Let's see, this chain here is 7 8 9 10, roughly. Okay, so this is about 3 inches. So if, let's say, your waist measurement is 29 inches and this was 26, what you would do is make an extra chain of 3, which I've done here, 3 inches, and then turn your work. You're going to turn your work and slip stitch in the very first stitch here. So now this here will be able to fit around your waistline perfectly. So once you do that, I'm not going to do this bit with you because I don't need a chain. But if you do that, let's say you did the extra chains and you've joined here, chain 1, cut off your yarn, and then reattach your yarn in the exact middle here. So if you need to count your chains, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So probably attach it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just find the middle of the chain right here and reattach your yarn there, and we are going to work from there. But since I don't need the chain, I'm going to undo what I've done here. And I'm just going to slip stitch directly in here. So again, for me this works perfectly. This will fit around my waistline, so I didn't need a chain. But if you needed a chain, then make the chain, slip stitch here, but then reattach your yarn in the middle, just so your seam can be straight in the middle. Okay, so let's continue. Once you do that, we are going to start working in rounds, and I won't be doing the mesh pattern anymore because I wanted the mesh just for the top part, and I want the bottom part to be regular double crochets, no mesh. So you're going to chain up 1 as usual, double crochet in that very same place. Now we're not going to be increasing at the beginning anymore. We are going to start increasing at the sides. We are still increasing just so it can hit our hip measurement, but we are going to be increasing at the sides. So what I'll do is grab, if you have some stitch markers, I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but if you have stitch markers, you're going to mark your exact sides. You can just rough gauge. When you fold your work into 2 this way, find the exact side here and the exact side here, and just place your stitch markers in there. Okay, so I have my stitch markers and I'm just going to place 1 here and place the other one here. So that means this is where I'll be increasing. I'll be increasing when I get here, and I'll be increasing when I get here as well. So let's continue. Once you have your first double crochet here, you're going to continue with double crochets. Okay, so once I get to where my stitch marker is, I'm going to go in there with 2 double crochets. So just place 2 double crochets in them, and then you can take out your stitch marker and replace it on top, just so when you get there you can remember to increase. But for my own sake, I think the stitch marker distracts me a lot, so I'm just going to put it aside. But when I get here, I'm going to increase here as well. So if you think you'll forget, then just place your stitch marker back on the top, just so when you get there you don't forget to increase. So I'm going to continue with regular double crochets till I get to the stitch marker, and I'll place 2 double crochets in there as well, and then I'll continue and end here. So go all the way around, and when you get here I'll meet you and show you what to do. Don't forget to increase where you have your stitch marker. Okay, so I've gone all the way around and I've come to where we started from. So I'm just going to go on top of the first double crochet we made and slip stitch. That's round 1 done. So for the next round you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do regular double crochets, and don't forget to increase where you have the increase. Again, if you have the stitch marker it would help, but if you don't have it there, just remember to increase in one of the stitches here, and then increase here as well. So you're going to continue doing that in round till this stretches to reach your hip measurement. My hip measurement is 40, so I'm just going to continue doing it. And oops, what I have here now is, if this is 13, then let's say 26. So I'm going to continue doing it till this measurement here can reach my hip measurement, which is 40. So go ahead and do the same thing, and I'll let you know what to do once you've reached your hip measurement. So again, just chain 1, do your double crochet as usual, and then continue regularly like you would. One thing I'll mention again, just so we don't forget, is I'm no longer doing the mesh, by the way. If you want your entire romper to be made up of mesh, that's fine, go ahead and do the 5 and mesh. But for me, I want the mesh to stay in just the top part. That's why I'm no longer doing it. So you can forget about the mesh for now and just do the regular pattern. Okay, so I went ahead and did all the rows there I need to be able to get to my hip measurement. So when I measure this now, when I stretch it's like really wide. It goes to 20, which is by 2, so 40 inches to reach my hip measurement. Now what we're going to do next is to figure out if we have the length we need yet. And this length here, I'm going to give you some measurements that could help, but what we're looking for basically is that this here should be able to reach your lower hip basically. So this length here should extend from the middle part of your collarbone to your lower hip. In terms of measurements for a size small, we are going to be aiming for around 21 inches. So when you stretch this, it should measure up to 21 inches. For size medium, 22, size large, 23, and then so I'm a medium, and I wouldn't stretch it too much, but then roughly I would say I have around 21 inches. So that means I'm going to work till I have 22 inches. But because we have this already stretches to my hip measurement, what that means is we are not going to do any more increases. I'm just going to work normal rows. So this time around, I'm going to chain up 1 as usual, do my double crochet. And then continue like that, but I'm not going to be doing any more increase on this particular round. So once you hit your hip measurement, just continue going in rounds, regular rounds, till you reach the measurement that I spoke of. That's if you're working with my measurements, then the ones I mentioned before. But if you want to take your accurate measurements to make sure it fits perfectly, then work all the way till it reaches your lower hip. I went ahead and did the rows I needed to get my length to the required measurement. I only had to do 2 normal rows, 2 rows of no increases, because this is already fitting for me. So when I measure this here, like I said, I'm a size medium, and for mediums we are considering about 22 inches. So when I stretch this out, it stretches to 22 inches, so I think that's enough for me. I wouldn't do any more rows, but Again, if you are working for yourself and you have the luxury of measuring yourself, then just take the measurement that goes from here to your lower hip. Don't measure all the way up to your collarbone, the highest point of your collarbone, because we are not wearing if you look at the image, it doesn't go all the way there. It starts somewhere here in the middle. So take a measurement that goes from that point to your lower hip, or just do 21 inches for a small, 22 for a medium, 23 for a large, and 24 for an extra large. So the next thing we're going to do now is split this into legs. Now, ideally, you would go around and count your stitches, and just so you can have an even split. But if you're as lazy as I am, then we're just going to eyeball it. I'll just say it's best you count and split it evenly. Okay, so I went ahead and counted my stitches. I think for the safety of our work, or if you want something a bit more accurate and well-fitting, it's best to count. It takes just about a minute or two. So just go ahead and count the stitches you have on this round and divide it exactly into 2. So I had 105. That means I would have 52 on one side, 52 on the other side, and then 1 in the middle. So I just placed my stitch marker in that one. So what we're going to do, once you find your middle and you place your stitch marker there, what we're going to do is make a chain. Now, for size small, you're going to make a chain of 7 inches. For size medium, 8, large 9, extra large 10. So I'm a medium, I'm going to make a chain of 8 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Let's see what this reaches. This here is about 5 inches, so a few more to go. That's around 7. Mind you, you need to stretch this chain, so that's it for me. 8 inches for me. Stretch it as far as you can, because we don't need a lot of these chains, so you want to make sure you're really stretching. So that is my chain, and I'm going to go ahead and place it in this point where we have the stitch marker. So go in right there and place a slip stitch. So now we've split our legs. We're going to have something like this. Now we're going to be working in rounds. We'll work on one part of the leg and then return to work on the other part. So go back into your loop. Chain 1 and cut your yarn, because we don't want our seam to be in the front. So cut your yarn and then reattach your yarn in the middle of your pants. So again, to split it evenly, we just have to count the number of chains we did. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33. So I have 33 chains. That means I'm going to split exactly in the 17th chain and have 16 on one side, 16 on the other side. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 and 17. So this will be my exact middle where I attach my yarn. Again, we just want the seam to be hidden in between the legs. We don't want it showing. So I'll reattach my yarn there. Okay, so once we reattach our yarn here in the middle, you're going to chain up one as usual and then start working around. So you make a double crochet in there. And then you continue in every chain. You go into it. I made my chains a bit too tight, so it's becoming a bit difficult to work in. I just continue like that into the chains. Okay, so I'm coming to this point, and at this point we don't even need a stitch marker anymore. It was just so we could figure out where to split our legs. So you can take it out and continue working. So when you get here, you just have to make sure you cover all the chains. I think I have one more somewhere here. Okay, so once all the chains are covered, you're just going to go into this part of the work. So go directly in there and start placing your double crochets. and continue. Here's something like this. So you're going to work on this side all the way till you get here, and then you continue on the chain. Okay, so I've come to the end of the chain again, or the start of the chain, and I'll just go ahead and put one double crochet here in this space, and then get onto the chain. The key is to not miss any chains. I made a mistake of making this too tight, that's why it's been very hard to work into, but regardless, you have to try not to miss any chain, else you have holes in your pants. Okay, so I've come to the end, well, almost, and I have just one chain here. Note to self, don't make your chains too tight. Okay, I finally got it. So I'm just going to slip stitch here, and that's the first round of our first leg done. So we're going to have something like this, and we are just going to keep working around this way till we have the length that we need. And once we have the length for this part, we're going to reattach our yarn and work on this side. So just go ahead and continue like that, just going rounds till you have the desired length of the romper that you need. And I think I'll do the same, and I'll meet you when I have the length of my first leg. So I'm gonna head to make the number of rounds that I need. I did a total of 9 rounds. I would have done 10, but then I want to use the 10th round to as my edging, basically. So I haven't cut my yarn here, as you can see, because I want to come back to do the edging. If you don't want the edging, then that's fine, you can just cut it off and reattach here to work on the other leg. Because I'm going to attach another yarn. I'm just going to get another yarn and attach it on this side. So you come back to where we have the seam in between the legs here. Just on that seam, attach your yarn on the opposite side. It's going to be a bit hard to actually work into the stitches on the chain part, so I'll just say just go in between. Just go in between the 2 stitches and reattach your yarn, and then double crochet as usual. So go around in between the stitches with 1 double crochet each. So I've come to the end of the chain parts, the first part of the chain, or the split as we may call it, and I'm going to go onto the main part of the legs. So again, make sure you are covering every stitch. So I'll go in between here, place one stitch somewhere in here, just so I don't have any gaping holes. And then I can continue working on the stitches as I see them. So we have something like this, and you continue working on the leg all around. When you get here, you're going to make sure you place a double crochet in every stitch you see, and then come back and slip stitch here. So I'll work this round with you, and then you take it from there. Okay, so I'm coming to the end just before the split, and again I'm going to make sure I cover every stitch with a double crochet. So here you can see there's a hole here. I'm just going with a double crochet, and then I'll jump onto the split. As you can see, very seamless. So right after that, I'll just continue. This time it will be hard to go into the chain as we've established before. If you can, great, you can just go into them. If not, just go into the space like we've been doing. Okay, so I've come to the end one more time, and I'm sure I've covered every stitch, so I'll just go ahead and slip stitch up here. So that marks the round, the first round of our second leg. It's starting to look something like this. So I'm just going to continue and do the same amount of rounds you have here. For me, that's 9, so I'm going to add 8 more, and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to do the edging. We're almost done. Okay, so I've gone ahead to finish my legs. This is what I have so far. I know it looks a bit awkward, but when you put it on, it works somehow. When I finish, I'll just weave in my ends and that'll be it. But for now, let's go ahead and do the edging. You're going to do something quite simple actually. So you're going to chain up 4 and skip 1 stitch. So I'll skip this and go into the next one and make a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1 and make a double crochet in the next one. Chain 1, skip 1 and make a double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1 and make a double crochet. So you're going to go around like that, around the whole of the leg with this, and I'll meet you at the end and show you what to do next. So just chain 1, skip 1, double crochet all the way to the end. Okay, so I've come to the end and I have 1 stitch left. I'm just going to skip it, go on top of the 3rd chain, 1 2 3, and make my slip stitch. Now we're going to do something different. So once you make your slip stitch and this round is finished, slip stitch into the next stitch. Slip stitch right into the space here. Chain up 4, 1 2 3 4, and then go underneath here and slip stitch. Then slip stitch again into the space. One more time. So when you're done with that, just slip stitch straight ahead into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next space. Chain up 4, 1 2 3 4, and slip stitch at the bottom of the chain 4 So just go under the chain 4 there. And make a slip stitch. Picots are a bit tricky to do, but it's once you get a hang of it, it's easy. So make another slip stitch again in that same space. Slip stitch on the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next space. Slip stitch on the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next space. Chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go underneath the very first chain at the bottom and make a slip stitch. Slip stitch into that same space again. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next space. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Into the next space. Chain up 4. You get the pattern. So it's like making one picot here in the space, slip stitch all the way, slip stitch into the stitch into the space. You're not doing anything into the next space, slip stitch into the next stitch into the next space, then you make another picot. So let me do 2 more with you. Chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go underneath the very first chain you made. Make a slip stitch. Slip stitch again into that same space. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next space. Oops. Into the next stitch again and into the next space. Chain up 4 and make a slip stitch at the bottom. So that's it, that's all we're doing. So continue with the picots around this edge, then go onto the other leg and do the same thing, the mesh and then the picots, and that's it. And we'll add straps. I'll come back to you when I'm ready to add the straps. Okay, so I thought I'll show you how to end it. I have one space here which we don't normally do anything in, so I'm just going to slip stitch and then come underneath the very first picot we made. Just go in there and make the last slip stitch. Chain 1 and snip off our yarn. So that's the end of that. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing for this leg, the mesh and the picot, the end. But for now, let's attach our straps. If you have any particular type of straps you like, you can just go ahead and use that style. But I just use chains for most of my straps, so I'm going to do that. So usually for my straps, you're going to turn your work to the right side, and then you grab your corner and you double your strand. Make sure your strand is always doubled. just so we can have a thicker strap. And then go into one of the corners and pull your hook through, pull your yarn through. So pull the yarn through like this. Once you pull it through, you're going to weave in the double strands just as chain. So secure the first one and continue. Make a long chain that can go crisscross at the back. Okay, so I'll continue making my strap. I'll do for this side and then I'll attach my yarn here and do for that, and then I'll wrap off by doing the edging I have here on the other side, then weaving my ends. But basically that's I'll do that off camera, by the way, but that's the basics. That's everything done. Once I finish it, the other side will also look like this. But yeah, we have a romper. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, and let's connect on social media, TikTok, Instagram. The link is in my bio. Catch you another time. Bye.